Welcome to LFFL Primetime, everything you need to know in about probably 10 to 15 minutes today because it's playoff time. That's right. You get in touch with Jim Moore and tell him the LFFL is moving to playoff time. We had some great games go on in week 14. Awesome playoff races that went down to the wire, down to the end of the games last night. It was awesome. Let's get into it. Andy puts up your high score of the week, drops 184 on Greg, knocks Greg out of the playoffs. That is right. Andy and Greg traditionally played this week 14 battle royal against each other. No different this year. Game had huge implications. Guess what? Greg getting knocked out. Andy got Big Bro in the playoffs. Thanks, buddy. That's right. I take a 163-118 win over Matt. The winner of that game ultimately was going to get into the playoffs after the Greg loss. It turned out to be me. Matt falls one game short of the playoffs. Bill firmed up his playoff hopes as well, moving to 7-7 with a 145-114 win over Todd. Miles, still in the playoffs, but loses to the defending champion, 129-125. Miles drops from the 4 seed down to the 6 seed, but is still safely in the playoff picture at this point. And then finally, a battle of the top two teams. Phil does secure the bye in spite of his loss to Eric. However, Phil, little revenge. Even though Phil lost the game to Eric, Phil a 2-point winner in the race who scores the most points this year. As I said, we have Eric and Phil atop the standings. Andy, in spite of his tie with Phil, is about 100 points behind him for the tiebreaker, so therefore Phil gets the bye week over Andy. Andy is the 3 seed, Bill is the 4 seed, I'm the 5 seed, Miles 6 seed, Craig is out of the playoffs because of points scored. All of us are 7-7, but that's how we stack in terms of points scored. Looking at your primetime matchup, your wild card number 1, number 3 seed Andy at 9-5 takes on number 6 seed Miles, who's sitting at 7-7. Andy did beat Miles 162-117 back in week 8. Miles holds a 3-2 series lead over here in their young series. Andy closed out the season strong, winning 3 of his last 4 games. He did finish 3rd in this league in scoring, so he's certainly a team to watch out this playoff run. Miles finished the season winning 3 of his last 5 games, but he was a mediocre 6th in scoring, which is actually the worst of the 6 playoff teams. As for your playoff resumes, Andy is a 2-time champion of this league, 2007 and 2019, brings an 11-9 career playoff record, never a bad thing to be over 500 in the playoffs. Miles, on the other hand, is just making a second appearance in the playoffs. He does have a win under his belt, though. He went 1-1 and a trip to the semifinals in that first playoff situation. But looky here, friends. Number 4, Bill taking on number 5, Casey. A pair of 7-7 teams going at it. Bill beat me 135-80 in week 3 and 160-88 in week 11. However, I do hold a 19-16 series lead. Bill absolutely closed the season strong, winning 5 of his last 6. I also come in good form. I won 6 of my last 7, 7 of my last 9, and frankly, 3 straight to get here. I started 0-5, so my team has really been rolling since that poor start. And Bill at one point was 2-6. So the fact he's gotten here, testament to both our rosters, how strong they sit right now. Bill and I are 4th and 5th in scoring on the season. Bill slightly higher than me, but let's get to the real bugaboo here. And Bill in the playoffs. This is so hard for me to talk about because Bill has an incredible playoff record in this league in terms of making the playoffs. This is his 12th consecutive trip to the playoffs. He has been in this league. This is his 21st year. This will be his 20th playoff appearance. That's incredible. That kind of consistency to make the playoffs year in and year out. The problem ultimately becomes what happens when he gets there. I told you his 12th straight trip. Previous 11 trips, 1 playoff win. He is 1-11 in the last 11 years in the playoffs. He is 3-19 overall in these playoffs. He's never even advanced to a Super Bowl. 3 of those losses in the playoffs are to me. I beat Bill in the 2010, the 2014, and 2016 semifinal games. And of course, this league has just always been one. I've come up aces and come playoff time. A 31-17 overall playoff record. I am looking for a 4th consecutive Super Bowl trip. I've actually done that already. I did 4 Super Bowls back in around the 2010 range. Looking to go for my 4th consecutive. Been 3 straight years now. Hopefully I can make it a double of the 4 in a row. LFFL 2, congratulations to Andy. Almost put up the week's high score again. Scored 62 and beating up on Phil. I did take the week's high score myself, a 64-38 win over Bill. But look at this. Eric, a 42-36 win over Sean, is hanging in there. Not yet mathematically eliminated, but boy, it's getting close. 3 down with 4 to play, plus Andy has tiebreaker. Eric needs essentially Andy to lose out. Eric needs to win out. Frankly, Eric's playoff hopes are fading faster than December Miami Dolphins team. I can't even on that game. I cannot even on that game last night. we're right back to the 90s again. I just said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it. It's like 90s all over again. We have these great starts, and December is just awful. I'm not looking forward to the rest of the month. Anyways, Miles, congratulations. You lost to the Merrills as well. Looking at your standings over here, Andy, a commanding lead over Eric. Greg, 8-6, but officially eliminated with Andy's win this week. Miles at 7-7. Phil, myself, Todd, and the Merrills all at 6-8. Bill and Sean fighting for that top pick in the draft, both 4-10, in very similar terms of points scored. Andy this week takes on Miles, the fourth leading scorer in the league. Up here, Eric takes on Phil, who is the third leading scorer in the league. So we have 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3 in terms of scoring this week. Other action, Greg taking on the Merrills, Bill taking on Todd, I am taking on Sean. LFFL 3. Oh, this was fun last night. It was hard for me to compartmentalize wanting to throw my TV out the window while watching the Dolphins game, while at the same time watching some thrilling action in some of these leagues. Slick was in a nail biter for a title in his league. I was in one to get in the playoffs. I was watching this one with Phil right here. Phil needed 19 from Saquon Barkley last night. Saquon is not there. But at the end of the game, Giants are trying to kill the clock. Saquon rips off about a 30-yard run and then fumbles the ball. I had to get on, check it out. Phil ultimately comes out with a 1-point win, locks in the final playoff spot in this league thanks to losses by Bill and Matt Brennan. Allows Phil to sneak in there and grab that last spot. Very cool stuff, Phil. Your other games this week, I was able to beat John. Andy was able to beat Nate. We had, as I said, Phil beat actually Eric, who is a playoff team. Greg took care of business against Matt Brennan, a 4-point win, which gave Greg a bye week and knocks Matt Brennan out of the playoffs. Bill had lost to Matt Merrill, and then we had Todd losing to Miles. That's big because look what happened here. That loss by Todd coupled with my win allowed me to jump him to get into bye week position. So Greg and I will take the byes in this league. Todd will be the 3 seed at 10-4. Eric will be the 4 seed at 9-5. Miles, with his win over Todd, locks in a playoff berth at 8-6. And then Phil, as I say, scoots past Bill and Matt Brennan to take that 6th and final playoff spot. If you look at the points scored, had Phil lost, he'd have been out. Bill would have been in had he not won. So good for Phil to get in there. Very exciting stuff. Sorry to Bill and Matt Brennan. It's a competitive league now with 12 teams. Rest of the teams, Andy, Matt Merrill, Sean, Nate, all were already out of it. Primetime matchup, number 1, your wild card game. Number 3, Todd taking on number 6, Phil. Todd beat Phil 90-45 back in week 6. What a drubbing. Todd, a little shaky to finish the season, losing his last 2. However, he was third in this league in scoring. And he was 10-4 on the year, so not a bad team at all. This is Todd's 6th playoff appearance in the LFFL 3. He only has a 3-4 record, but does have a title to his name when he won the whole shooting match in 2016. Phil won 3 of his last 4 to make the playoffs, despite only being the 8th best scoring team in the league this year. But just like LFFL 1, where Bill really struggles in the playoffs, Phil's having the same sort of problem over here in the LFL 3. It's not quite as bad, but it's the same sort of deal. We've done this league for 15 years now. This is Phil's 14th playoff appearance, which is really cool. Problem, he has yet to actually win. Been to 4 Super Bowls, lost them all, a 7-13 record in those playoff trips. Phil did beat Todd in the 2009 wildcard round, but Todd was able to get some revenge in the 2016 semifinals round on his way to that championship. Your other wildcard matchup right here, number 4, Eric at 9-5 takes on number 5, Miles at 8-6. Eric was able to beat Miles 103-63 back in week 9. That was the start of a 5-game winning streak for Eric that only ended last week with a 1-point loss to Phil. So essentially, Eric's won 5 out of 6 and his own loss was by a point. Eric is the 2-time defending champion over here, looking to go for the 3-peat that has only happened once in any of the LFFL leagues. Looking to make it the second person to do it. Making his 5th straight playoff trip, 13-7 the LFFL 3 playoffs, has been rock solid in this league. Eric led this league in scoring as well. Miles clocks in at 4th, so we have a couple of real high-scoring teams here going after it. After a touch stretch in the middle of the season, Miles actually closed strong as well. Got wins in the last 2 weeks over 2 playoff teams in Todd and Phil. Miles has actually yet to win a playoff game in this league, despite 3 consecutive trips from 2019 to 2021. Lost the wildcard round in all 3 of those years. 2 of those 3 playoff losses were actually to Eric in 2019 and 2021. Moving on to the LFFL 4, Phil kept it in the family. Greg wins the Sunday slate last week. Phil claimed his 2nd win of the season and 17th of his illustrious career. Nate comes in second. Greg does stick around to take the bronze medal. Monday night, we had issues. I didn't get communicated clearly. I didn't get the contests out in time. There was confusion. So I'm going to go Oprah on you. Everyone gets a win. Miles, you get a win. Phil, you get a win. Greg, you get a win. Congratulations to all those teams. Miles takes the both games card with Nate, a 1-point second place finish. Tennessee, Miami, the Dolphins fan, of course. Phil takes this one at 110.60 points. Jeremy coming in second over there. And then the New York Green Bay game, we have Greg taking the day with Nate coming in second in that one as well. What's that mean, your standings? I've got 153. Eric's got 144. Greg's got 143. Phil, 131. Miles and Nate hanging around in there as well. This week, we have 4 different contests to play in. We have the Thursday night football game, the Chargers versus Vegas. Might be a 0-0 game after Vegas just almost played a 0-0 game, and now they've got a hockey stick on the other team for quarterback. Saturday, we got a 3-game slate coming up for you all. Sunday, a 10-game slate, and then we get after it on Monday Night Football with the Philly-Seattle game going after it on Monday Night Football. Let's look at the LFFL 5. We have the semifinals taking place over here. I have taken about a 25-point lead over Phil with just 1 week to play. Sean has about a 50-point lead over Greg with 1 week left to play. I don't think either of these things are over at this point. Still a lot to play for as we look to lock in our Super Bowl berth for these 4 teams. LFFL 6. Greg and Matt Brennan can flip-flop, flip-flop. Matt Brennan had the lead. It's now tied again. Greg and Matt Brennan, same exact score. This is going to be really close coming down the stretch. Jeremy reclaimed the August lead while Greg took over the June lead. Guess what? They both took it away from Phil. How rude, people. How rude you disrespect my friend that way. Stop treating my friend that way, especially as your older brother, Greg, for goodness sakes. Anyways, great contest here. Matt Brennan and Greg, really, it's going to be one of these 2 teams. LFFL 7, congratulations to my nephew, Thomas, who will be your champion in the LFFL 7 this year. Outclassed Nate this week. If you look at the points scored, a little better all year long. And no doubter this week took this thing home. Congratulations, Thomas. His first ever little win. LFFL Greg texted me to say he thinks we're the only 2 left in this thing. I would tend to agree. We scored the exact same amount of points this week, a 189.9 point total. Look, I think Greg's got the hotter team right now. I think he's more likely to beat me, but I'm within shouting distance of Greg right here. Only about 20 points back on the season. And then finally, LFFL 9. No harm, no foul in week 1. Bill and I staging a battle here, both top 200 points in week 1. Got lucky on Monday night. It was a tight game. I had Devon Etchan. I had Raheem Mostert. I had DeAndre Hopkins. So I got a lot of points last night. Pull ahead of Bill, who made a shrewd move. I see what you're doing there, Bill. Cut Sam Howell and picked up Brock Purdy. Sam Howell had a bye week. Brock Purdy tearing stuff up, Bill. I like it, my friend. I like it. What a shrewd move. Hey, that's all I got this week. Good luck to all the playoff teams this week, unless your name is Bill and you're playing me, in which case, terrible luck. Other than that, I kid, of course. I wish Bill the best of luck in all these leagues. I hope you all do really well. I hope whether it's this league or your other leagues, you're dominating play this year, and I look forward to chatting with you next week to see who moves on to those semifinals. See ya.